Good morning. Fellow Lions, speakers, and more importantly, our guests. Welcome to the District 45 Vermont Lions Annual Speak Out Speech Contest for high school students. This program started back in 2005, and I believe, if I can be corrected, under the guidance of past District Governor Bill Moulton. Unfortunately, Bill lost his life, so I'd like to have a couple of seconds, a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Today, our judges will be Second Vice District Governor Brenda Sykes, Zone Chair Drew Perry, past District Governor Joe Wilson, Lion Lucas Heron, and Lion Leanne Middlemiss. And if I just was told you are all accept bribes, right? Are we looking at $10, $20 each, whatever? No? Venmo is all right, checks do not. They bounce.
They could.
Our judge, coordinator, scorekeeper will be Lion Jackie Butil, and Lion Sandy Brukowski will be our timer. And we have a very special thing happening today. Lion Kyle Kohler of the Norwich Lions Club will be videographing the event, and we'll be posting online sometime after. Today we have 5 competitors to speak on the subject, changing the world. How can we shrink our footprint? It will be judged in 3 areas: addressing the theme, developing the theme, and clarity and expression. Each speech must be at least 5 minutes long, but no more than 7 minutes. At the end of the speech, we will have 3 judges each ask 1 question to each of the contestants. Such questions can be about the speech itself, something about the contestant in general, or something about life experiences, life in general. I have passed out a couple of judging sheets on some of the tables. So for those who would like to be future judges, today's a good time to practice. At the end of all speeches, we will then add up the judges' score to determine the winner. Today's winner will win $800. Second place gets $550. Third gets $400. And we have 2 additional prizes after that. Our contestants are Collin Clair, Lily Terry, Riley Naylor, Shabnam Naini, and McKinley Keaffaber. Are there any questions? Judges, are you ready? Contestants, are you ready? Based on the order of drawing, our first contestant will be McKinley Keaffaber. And I know I pronounced that wrong, didn't I?
You want me to use the mic?
Yep.
All right. Before I start, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, just getting ready. Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. For many teenagers, the idea of being able to solve environmental issues seems insurmountable. This is how I felt for a long time, until I realized the impact the food industry has on the environment, and that changing my diet can help the world. Maya Angelou once said, quote, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better," end quote. What if I told you that what we eat and where it comes from could directly impact the future of the planet? A 2023 study done by Reuters shows that the global food industry is responsible for 1/3 of total greenhouse gas emissions that are driving global warming. as well as 70% of the world's freshwater consumption. However, there are ways that we, as individuals, can reduce our quote-unquote carbon footprint by making two very different choices when it comes to our diet. First, eating less meat is healthy for the body and very beneficial to the environment and carbon footprint. Second, getting locally sourced meat and food is healthier and less impactful to the environment. These methods provide such a benefit to be able to save our planet, and we need to use them. The first change is to eat meat less often. Quite simply, meat products are not helping the environment. The livestock with the largest carbon footprint globally are cows. Cow products, like beef and dairy, are a key cause of this pollution from the food industry. A 2022 article by PBS states that cows produce 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Why? This is due to them producing methane in their gut, which they then expel by burping from their nostrils or mouth. Methane is a very potent greenhouse gas that is very harmful to the environment. The solution to this is not to eradicate cows, but to consume them and their products less frequently. For example, almond milk has many benefits, and enriched versions have many similar contents found in cow's milk. Some examples are vitamin D, vitamin E, calcium, protein, and several other minerals. This doesn't need to replace cow's milk, but if incorporated routinely into a diet, even once a week, there will be a significant positive impact on both personal health and the environment. There are many benefits to eating this way and taking more measures to have an alternative lifestyle in terms of diet. For example, an article by Earth Day, the world's largest environmental movement, states that, quote, for instance, if over the course of a year you ate one less burger a week, it would be the equivalent of taking your car off the road for 320 miles, end quote. That is an insane amount. Hypothetically, if we extrapolate that data, if half of the United States population as of May 2024, or approximately 170 million, since the U.S. population now is approximately 340 million, ate one less burger a week, that would equate to taking cars off the road for 44.8 billion miles per year. The average carbon emission by the average passenger vehicle is 400 grams, or about 14 ounces per mile. That math leads to such an unfathomably large amount of carbon saved per year that it is almost unbelievable. Not only does cutting out meat for 1 day per week help the environment, but it helps you. Other healthier foods have less carbon impact and more health benefits, such as grains, beans, legumes, and vegetables. Overall, this small dietary change goes a long way and is a great way to reduce the carbon footprint. The second way to reduce your carbon footprint is to stop buying store-bought food and begin getting it locally sourced. For example, a 2022 article by Monders Market on local food states that local meat is a quote-unquote superior product than store-bought meat, as it has reduced preservatives, is hormone and antibiotic free, and the animals are treated better on the local scale. The price for local meat, fruit, and vegetables may be more expensive, but buying local products reduces the carbon emissions by severely reducing the distance traveled to get this food, as well as the entire process of packaging, shipping, and processing the meat that is found in stores. Overall, buying local meat is much better for you and the world we live in. Now, I would just like to make this clear that I'm not trying to convince you to stop eating meat. I'm just providing facts and data as to show how simply reducing meat intake can be tremendously beneficial. The reason the impact of eating less quantities of meat is so large is because of the numerous reasons why that meat has such an impact. The livestock digestive process, the land and resources needed to grow the animal's food, the manure, processing, transportation, and waste all accumulate for this massive carbon footprint. By removing all of those factors, by eating less meat, that is how so much carbon is saved. The Lions International Club can help with this. If they could spread this message and the data to support it, people could see that there is an alternative to simply eating meat or going vegan. There are ways to compromise between two extremes while also helping this planet we call home. Lions are known for being creative problem solvers and strategize based on a region's needs and the planet's needs. This is why these solutions can vary, as they are not the answer, they are an answer. In conclusion, there are ways that we can reduce our carbon impact through our diet. Just cutting out some meat and obtaining local food has a huge reduction on a person's carbon footprint and is better for the environment and the animals on it. Cutting out one meal of meat a week has lasting benefits to you and your planet, and getting local food helps everyone involved. It is our duty as the residents of Earth to lessen and eventually cease to have a carbon footprint. And it all starts with the small steps that inspire the results that change the world. Thank you.
Good job, McKinley. Now comes the fun part.
Yeah, fun part, right?
Yeah, ask questions being asked. Second Vice District Governor Brenda.
Hi. Does everyone hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Is my cheerleader voice? Yes. Nice job. I just wondered, as you talk about reducing our intake of meat, have you tried that? And how, if you have, how difficult did you find that?
So I'll respond to that by kind of with a story. So my family, we recently went vegan at kind of the start of this year, and we try and eat vegan as much as we can. And I would say it has not been very hard. The hard part has more been trying to find places that are vegan, but eating vegan and plant-based products is not very difficult for us.
Thank you.
Lion Drew.
So, also, fantastic speech. One question I have, you talked a lot about cows. Did you find anything in your studies about other animals like chicken or bird products?
So I'll respond to that by saying I did not research chicken and birds as much. However, I have seen a lot of documentaries as to how chicken, like big chicken companies such as Purdue, Tyson, just to name a couple, do not treat their chickens very well. They are genetically engineered so that they basically have heart attacks, and because their breasts are made so big that they just straight up die. So I would say that yes, other bird products are equally just as bad.
And Lion Leanne.
Great job. Just wondering what year in high school you are and if you have plans for college.
Yeah, so I am in 10th grade in high school right now, and my plans for college are physics, astrophysics, because I'm a big space guy.
Thank you, McKinley. Judges, raise your hand when you're done your numbers. Lion Jackie, you have all five?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. Judges, our next contestant is Lily Terry. Ms. Terry, Ms. Lily?
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. I first became aware of the impacts that global warming is having on our planet in elementary school, and since then, little has changed. I've witnessed firsthand the irreversible changes to the Vermont climate. 5 years ago, the mild winter we experienced this year would be unheard of, and now it's almost expected. I used to be so excited to go ice skating with my dad each winter at Lake Maury. I would wait in anticipation for the days when the trails were finally plowed and I could lace up my skates and go out trying to beat my record for miles skated from the previous winter. We're now at a point where the ice doesn't freeze until February. The number of skatable days has decreased. I didn't even get to go at all this year. We've passed what scientists have called the point of no return. The petroleum giants responsible for the majority of this damage have sat back and watched as the warnings, flagged by their scientists in the 70s, have morphed into reality. We'll never be able to bring back the species that we've driven to extinction or make up for the years of inaction, but by enacting aggressive and effective greenhouse gas reduction policies, we can mitigate some of the worst effects of climate change and minimize future damages. We need to mandate the adoption of renewable energy sources, as well as create policies that place responsibility for climate-related damages on fossil fuel companies. One policy that would directly result in emission reduction in Vermont is H289, the Modernized Renewable Energy Standard. Vermont's current renewable energy standard has set some of the least ambitious requirements for renewable energy in New England and is not setting the state up to meet its greenhouse gas reduction goals. Not only would the adoption of the Modernized Renewable Energy Standard increase the amount of green jobs in Vermont, but it would also support the state's economy by mandating 20% of Vermont's renewable energy be generated from in-state production facilities. Right now, much of Vermont's renewable energy is sourced from Hydro-Quebec. This company has flooded large areas of Canadian land in order to produce the energy needed to support Vermont. Another portion of our energy comes from natural gas, which is completely sourced from out-of-state sources, which is produced in facilities largely based in low-income areas. Not only would adoption of this policy decrease greenhouse gas emissions, but it would discontinue the shifting of our energy burden onto others. A modernized renewable energy standard is not the only path towards a sustainable future. 2024 continues to be a monumental year for climate policy in Vermont. Another way we could help achieve this goal is through S259, the Climate Superfund bill. If this bill is passed by the legislature, it would set a national precedent. Not only would it provide support for people who are experiencing climate-related damages, but it would source these funds from those who are directly responsible for our current climate crisis, fossil fuel companies. This bill would tax companies that have emitted more than 1 billion metric tons of greenhouse gases over the past 30 years. The money would then be used to support the necessary infrastructure upgrades that will be needed in the coming years in the state to support long-term clean energy use, as well as to combat the imminent impacts of climate change. We cannot keep delaying this transition to clean and resilient infrastructure. This is a necessary step to decrease our carbon footprint. Passage of effective climate policy provides a direct path towards achieving this and will ensure that we are able to meet our global emissions reduction targets. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Ryan Lucas, do you have a question, sir?
Sure. So if we enact these legislative actions and we tax basically those fossil fuel giants, they're actually just going to pass it on to the consumer. So how can we actually make sure that that energy cost does not get pushed on to the average consumer?
Well, part of that bill is taxing the fossil fuel companies while decreasing our reliance on fossil fuels. So, if we were able to enact this policy, we would be taxing fossil fuel companies while relying on clean energy, so we wouldn't be paying the price.
Past District Governor Joe?
Thank you, good presentation.
Thank you.
If you had to pick your favorite method to change climate, to make climate changes in Vermont, what would it be?
I think right now it would be climate policy. I think that it's the most effective way. By putting things into law, people are forced to comply. And I think that it's, at this point, probably the most effective way of making Vermont a more sustainable state.
Thank you. And second, Vice District Governor Brenda.
Hi, thank you. I'm just wondering what grade you are in high school and what are your future plans post-secondary?
Yeah, I am a senior and I will be attending McGill University in the fall to study Earth System Science. Yeah.
Do I have any volunteers from the Lions to come up and talk for 5 minutes on this subject? It's not easy, is it? Again, judges, raise your hand when you're done, please. Lion Jackie, we all set?
All set.
Thank you, ma'am. Judges, our next contestant is Shabnam Naini, S-A-I-N-I.
All right, can everyone hear me? Yes. All right, sounds good. I'll just get myself situated. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. My time will begin now. John F. Kennedy once said that change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. Indeed, as we confront the realities of climate change, we too must take a similar approach and view climate change as an opportunity for transformation and progress. Instead of clinging to outdated practices or denying the urgency of the situation, we must embrace change as a fundamental aspect of human existence. No area of Earth is exempt from the catastrophic consequences of climate change. We find ourselves in a race against time, each step crucial in determining our collective fate. Just as in any race, the urgency is approaching. Rising temperatures serve as the starting signal, propelling us forward into a marathon of environmental challenges. As the seconds tick by, the stakes can be higher. The Arctic is melting, sea levels are rising, coral reefs are dying, and forests are burning, and oceans are acidifying. The race is on, and the finish line is the survival of our planet. According to the Stanford School of Sustainability, it was estimated that global carbon emissions would exceed 40 billion tons in 2023 alone, including nearly 37 billion tons of carbon dioxide from fossil fuels. These are billions of tons of CO2 being released into the atmosphere every year as a direct result of coal, oil, and gas being burned and released into the atmosphere. Human activity is producing greenhouse gas emissions at a record high, with no signs of slowing down. Our pace is relentless, but if we don't change course, we risk running headfirst into catastrophe. The last 4 years were the 4 hottest on record, each year pushing us closer to the brink. According to a recent climate report conducted by NASA, regions across the world are already at least 1 degree Celsius above pre-industrial levels and close to what scientists consider dangerous and unprecedented amounts of CO2. But we must remember, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The 2015 Paris Climate Accords call for maintaining the global temperature well below 2 degrees Celsius and as an added challenge, keeping the limit to just 1.5 degrees Celsius. After all, each stride we take towards these goals brings us closer to victory, while each misstep threatens to leave us behind. Natural disasters linked to climate and weather patterns have always been assumed to be a natural part of Earth's system. However, these climate and weather patterns are becoming more frequent and intense as the world continues to heat up. No continent, let alone country, is unscratched from heat waves, droughts, tropical storms, and hurricanes, causing mass destruction around the world. The race is not just about reaching the finish line, it's about ensuring that everyone crosses it together unscathed. In light of these challenges, let us reflect on the core values of Lions Club International: service, integrity, leadership, diversity and inclusion, fellowship, empathy, and commitment. These values form the bedrock of the Lions Club's mission, guiding their members in making a positive impact on communities worldwide. With service as our compass, let us dedicate ourselves to the well-being of our planet and its inhabitants. Through integrity, let us commit to transparent and principled action, acknowledging the urgency of climate change and holding ourselves accountable for meaningful solutions. While science tells us that climate change is indisputable, it also tells us that it is not too late to mitigate the damage. We must take action as a team to reduce our carbon footprint for the greater good. Each stride forward, no matter how small, inches us closer to the finish line. Just as in any race, the path forward is filled with obstacles, but with determination and perseverance, victory is within our grasp. While some uses of technology, such as cars, power plants, and the increased use of fossil fuels have contributed to climate change, new and efficient technologies can actually help us reduce carbon emissions and create a cleaner world. With technological solutions that already exist for over 70% of greenhouse gas emissions, in many places, renewable energy is now one of the most affordable energy sources, with electric cars guaranteed to become of regular use. And as stated by the International Energy Agency, the total sales for cars between 2020 and 2022 has more than tripled within the last 3 years, from around 4 to 14%. The significant growth of electric vehicles not only shows how electric vehicles have become the norm, but also shows the promise for dramatically reducing carbon emissions and advancing sustainability efforts worldwide. Furthermore, implementing sustainable solutions gives respite as we take steps for reducing carbon emissions overall. From steps as complex as replacing incandescent lights for LEDs, or switching over electricity sources to solar panels, to steps as simple as switching off the lights, cutting down on the number of appliances that are running, or simply taking the stairs instead of the elevator, all of these solutions allow us to significantly reduce our carbon footprint while also supporting essential ecosystem services, biodiversity, and renewable energy. The race is not just about speed, it's about sustainability. Each step we take must be carefully considered, ensuring that we leave behind a world one that is better than the one we inherited. New technologies and sustainable solutions will also allow us to jump into a cleaner, more resilient planet. If governments, businesses, youth, and society as a whole work together, we can create a green future where suffering is diminished, justice is upheld, and harmony is restored between the people and the planet. With our unwavering commitment, let us persevere in a pursuit of a brighter, greener future. Just as the Lions Club remains steadfast in its dedication to service, let us remain adamant in our purpose to protect and preserve our planet for generations to come. In this race, collaboration is key. We cannot afford to leave anyone behind. Climate change is the defining crisis of our time, but it is also one of our greatest opportunities. Just as in any race, the outcome is uncertain, but it is not predetermined. It is up to us to write the ending of this story to determine whether or not we emerge victorious or falter at the finish line. To reiterate the words of John F. Kennedy, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. Let us not be chained by the inaction of outdated practices. Instead, let us embrace change as an opportunity for transformation and progress. Let us march forward, unwavering in our commitment to safeguarding our planet for generations to come. For in this race against time, it is not only the survival of our planet that hangs in the balance, but the very essence of humanity. This race is not over until the last steps are taken, and until then, it is still a race that we can win. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Lion Drew, you have a question, sir?
Yes. So you spoke about embracing change. Do you possibly have any tips for members in attendance to help transition them into embracing that change?
Yes, certainly. So as I mentioned in my speech, even though climate change is such a big issue, I believe that taking tiny steps such as like switching out incandescent lights for LEDs, or simply picking up the trash, like just yesterday, it was Green Up Day, and although picking up trash along the highways and streets is considered small, per person. As a whole, the more people that collect all the trash, it really makes a large difference. So I think that if we work together, taking small steps is really a step forward for addressing climate change.
Ryan Leanne?
Very good. Can you tell me if you have any extracurricular activities that you do at school?
Yes, of course. So I participate in debate, my school's Social Justice Alliance, our Green Team, Student Council, and then I also participate in the Library Board, and I was previously working with the YMCA as Youth Governor of Vermont, and then I'm also a youth advocate and lobby for Congress.
Busy girl.
Yeah.
Ryan Lucas?
So the last question is usually, what grade are you in and what are your plans for the future?
All right. I'm currently a junior, and my plans for the future are I plan on majoring in political science and also potentially double majoring in public policy, so like going on a pre-law track.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
First, VDG Deb. I want to put a bug in your ear. We're start a division next year for Lions to do this. Thank you, Lion Jackie. Judges, our fourth contestant is Collin Clair.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to. There it is. Can everyone hear me? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on such an important topic. The title of my speech is The Multiplier Effect. Small steps, big results. Maya Angelou once said, "Do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better." Throughout my lifetime, I've heard countless talks from leaders on the effects of climate change, global warming, and our carbon footprint. Many have condemned the actions of large corporations in the past, yet today I'm still hearing those same talks come from my television and wondering what went wrong. I've come to the conclusion that we can't just talk the talk without also walking the walk. We all know Vermont is a special place. 4 seasons of beautiful scenery, wildlife, forests, and limitless ways to enjoy the outdoors. We also know that Vermont historically leads the way when changes need to be made. Where does change start? It starts with small steps taken by many people over time to create patterns of change. On my own, I'm actively conscious of the resources I use and try to make the most of everything I use. This includes turning the lights off when I leave a room, reusing plastics in their intended use, or reusing them creatively. Some community-based examples that broaden this concept slightly include using things like carpooling and public transportation to not only be environmentally conscious, but to also make connections while doing so. I personally use carpooling and public transportation about 5 to 6 times a week. These types of actions are critical because when enough people do them, there's measurable change. In writing this speech, I asked myself the question, why has little change happened in my lifetime if this issue is so critical? Why have we prioritized short-term financial gain over long-term suffering? Why have we faced these realities and still not done anything about it? Why have we gained the notion that destroying the place that we call home is okay? The answer to that being that people don't believe taking a little bit of time to turn off the lights, recycle, or use public transportation will add up. And to that, I say that we do know better. We know how much of an impact our day-to-day actions have already had on our Earth, so why not believe those same little day-to-day actions can impact the Earth now? The power of people coming together is something I've seen as a founding member and officer in the Virgens Leos. We started by visiting a local wildlife rescue site and became involved with the animals they were helping. We wanted to create wildlife corridors of trees, plants, and food sources that would lead from the rehabilitation pens to the forests on the property. In addition, we saw the need for a building for our rehabilitation. We saw these needs and decided to take action. In doing so, we learned how to dream, organize, prioritize, and execute a plan for environmental impact. Once we learned we could be successful, we've expanded our plans to grow and plant 30 more trees this summer and build a flight cage that will let the rehabbing owls practice flight before release. As Leos, we plan on reaching out to young children in our area to help them become educated about changing our footprint in several ways. We are currently reading books to young children to show the importance of how to importantly use our resources and to slowly incorporate education about the small and everyday changes they can make. One of the first steps towards being able to reduce our footprint on the earth is the understanding that our resources are not limitless. The earth has a finite amount of natural resources available to us, and conservation means accepting that we have the responsibility to conserve and to protect. The facts about clean drinking water around the world are absolutely appalling to me. 2.2 billion people don't have access to clean drinking water. 3 billion people worldwide do not have access to hand washing facilities with soap. Almost 300,000 children under the age of 5 die each year because of a lack of improved water, hygiene, and sanitation. At an international level, Lions clubs are working to reverse these facts by continuing to install water purification systems in India, new latrines and education initiatives in Ethiopia, and new clean water systems from pipes or new bore wells on the African and Asian continents. In America, that could involve not only monitoring the water quality of our lakes and rivers, but also reducing our water usage. Changing small everyday tasks slightly, such as turning the water off while you brush your teeth, reducing time in the shower, and using cold water to wash clothes are all everyday examples of being aware and conscious of our Earth's finite resources. One person alone will not traverse the trend of our footprint on this Earth, but when joined by others, the impact is immeasurable. Time and time again, people of all backgrounds who are well-known and highly respected have spoken on this matter, and while it felt like their words meant something, almost nothing changed. They have talked the talk, but I challenge you to help find your own way, to walk the walk and make a real change. You now know you can do better, so show the world that you will. Thank you. Mic or hand?
You're still going to talk.
Yeah, I know. I can touch reach over the mic.
Pass the Sharon Joe.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Can you tell us a little more about yourself? What are your activities in school?
Yeah. So I don't do too many activities after school in my local high school. I do a lot of personal activities. I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. I've trained for over a decade. Like I've mentioned in my speech, have recently helped start the Virgens Leos last year in 2020, or no, 2 years ago, 2022. Time flies. I've also competed with these speech competitions for the last 2 years. Really enjoyed those. Those are amazing. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Second Vice District Governor Brenda.
Hi, thank you for participating.
Thank you for having me.
So early on, you talked about public transportation and carpooling. Vermont is such a rural state. There's a lot of areas that don't have public transportation that's accessible to a lot of people. So my question is, how would you encourage people then to use carpooling?
I do exactly what you've pointed out. You've pointed out there's not very much accessible ways to have public transportation. I'd use advertising or just making more accessible ways, having more local bus transits or bikes you can rent or electric scooters. I recently went to Germany over the last 2 weeks, right before this contest, and they had electric scooters you could rent almost anywhere and put off to the side anywhere. Really eco-friendly options that also give you public access to transportation. Really amazing things. Thank you for the question. Yeah.
In line, Drew.
What are your plans for the future, for school or post-secondary?
So I'm currently a senior in high school, but this year took my first year in early college through the Community College of Vermont, and I've just finished my first year this week, actually. I'm going into an IT major. I plan on getting an associate's degree, looking towards cybersecurity, but I'm not exactly sure what yet, and then I'm going to end up transferring to a 4-year school. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, sir. Ryan, Drew, you have to have a calculator to add that up?
I can barely count to 5.
I was wondering
Counting
what
is
you were
not
doing
my
there.
strong suit.
Oh, you raised your hand like you said to do. Thank you, Lion Jackie. And judges, our last contestant for today, Riley Naylor.
Okay, seems like it's working. Still. A flight, not a step for our environment. When the subject of our environment and the effect that we have upon it comes up, we often delve into it with a lens of individuality. There's a large number of people who are concerned about what we can do as individuals to limit our carbon footprint. In the end, a focal point of change focuses so largely that the effect that driving a car or using gas or any other household product has, we can feel drowned by what we have to do despite our circumstances. We try to find ways to mitigate our footprint with unrealistic expectations. We live in a rural area. Vermont and New Hampshire both have around 4.6 million acres of forest and 450,000 acres of farmland. It's almost impossible to live without a car, and many people don't have the resources or the ability to afford environmentally friendly cars or keep up with them. In that, the sense of trying to protect our environment by limiting what we can do is pointless, because unless you form a law, you can't make people change, and you can't ask them to change their ways of living in a way that won't help them. For example, we use crops, and limiting that through tilling is something that creates a large impact. Though as well, you also have people who can't drive, who can't do any of these things because of that fact. We can't change people's lives in a harmful way by making these change. So what if I told you there's an easy way to affect all of this that can lower the impact that we have without a majority of people having to do anything? What I'm talking about is ghost flights. Ghost flights are when airplanes with less than a 10% capacity make scheduled flights for a separate destination. They cover over 1,000 kilometers per trip. These flights carried out by flights are for a couple of reasons. For example, to keep their airport slots. Airport slots are basically parking spaces for airplanes. It's very competitive, and they need a way to keep their spots. They also use this time for training and maintenance. And although being on a flight with nobody else sounds extremely wonderful, the impact it has is jarring. Going back to the car issue, a regular gas-fueled car emits around 4.6 tons of carbon dioxide a year. A single ghost flight emits 18 tons. In March of 2024, there were 15,000 ghost flights, creating 2.1 tons of carbon emissions in the United Kingdom alone. That equates to the yearly average of 1.4 million diesel car emissions. In 2022, there were reports of 100,000 ghost flights. The damage a couple of planes are going through for the main purpose of retaining their parking spot is an unnecessary waste and is butchering our environment. So how did this problem come to be? The airline industry has had many up and downs throughout history. The one major event that happened to travel was COVID. Now, ghost flights existed beforehand, but they became a very popular option during COVID. They used ghost flights to retain relationships and keep up maintenance during a time in which flight was restricted. Though the main issue was that ghost flights didn't end after the pandemic, and they continue to be a problem through airline industries today. There's currently a significant reduction of these ghost flights due to a large amount of controversy spilt after 2022. Many foreign countries are starting to reduce their use in ghost flights and is estimated to continue until 2050. Though the problem with that is that it still remains unresolved, and it is years after we've expected to hit the threshold of major environmental danger. So why is this important? Why is the impact of ghost flights so profound? Well, to be honest, it isn't. Not in itself. It was a major problem years ago, but since then it has died down a lot. But that's what's incredible. Policies changed, and we grew for the better. Even if the problem isn't solved, we were able to make it less. That change is important, especially when it comes down to our environment. I felt the need to share this with you because it's a story about the dangers of flight, and hopefully it gives you the ability to lift a small burden off of your shoulders, as well as hopefully trying to give people a goal. We are all in charge of our own lives, and although it is important to try and make a conscious effort in contributing to the beautiful planet that we live on, it's also important to recognize that sometimes it's corporate responsibility to help out. We can easily reduce millions of carbon emissions by simply making permanent parking spots for Delta or Ryanair, and that the entire weight of the world, or at least its atmosphere, shouldn't entirely be on the people's shoulders. Though it also doesn't mean you're helpless. Staying up to date, being informed, and pushing back against bad systems is an obligation of the American citizen. So we should try to take responsibility and create an environment for change to save our future. Thank you. No. Do I? Okay.
Lion Leanne.
Good job. Just looking to see what your future brings for you.
I have no idea at all. Hopefully something good.
Very good.
Lion Lucas.
Thank you. So this is a topic that actually I've never even heard of. So how do we get the message out about topics like this that maybe others in the room haven't heard about?
Well, I feel like just doing your research, even if it's something from here locally or something big that happens in a different nation or country, it's important to look around and find these problems, especially with the use of media today. There are so many things that can help, even if it's a small effect. And being able to listen to your peers and using that to help guide different views may be an important topic to discuss.
And past District Governor Joe. Hello, Joe?
You woke me up. Tell us, how did you do your research to find the information that you shared with us?
Well, I had heard about ghost flights mainly when it started becoming a huge problem in 2020, so I had kind of this awareness beforehand, but then as this competition was coming up and I needed a topic to research, I wanted to delve more into it, and there ended up being quite a bit of information both on the parts of activism that helped to support it, as well as from companies itself and news coverage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Miss Riley, does the Ghostbuster movies have any of those ghost fights?
Not that I'm aware of.
Again, judges, raise your hand when you're done. Judges, when you're all set, I'll meet you out in the hallway. District Governor, I'll turn the podium back over to you. Give us about 5 minutes, we'll have the results.
Great job, folks. Great job.
Turn this time before I put my hand up.
District Governor,
Yes.
would you like to stand and help present the awards?
Absolutely.
International Director Steve, would you be willing to come up and help present the awards as well? And for my friends from New Hampshire, I heard there's rumors that you might want to do this project. Let me know, I'll be glad to help you out.
Absolutely. We'll let you know what his rental fee is. Check some of with the district way back.
Before we go any further, I just want to do one more round of applause for these speakers. But also for their parents and family. I know I have a microphone, but I would like to have you speakers introduce yourself, the class, the high school you're from. From the Norwich Lions Club, McKinley Keaffaber. Stand up, please. And who is your family friend? Do you want the microphone or?
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, I want you to tell a joke. Hi, I'm McKinley Keaffaber. I'm from Bennington, Vermont, not New Hampshire, and I represent North Shaft Lions. I'm in 10th grade and go to Mount Anthony Union High School.
And your family friends with you?
Family. So I have my dad, Drew, in the black, and I have my German exchange student, came all the way from the Swiss border, right there in the white, Leonard.
Thank you, sir. Collin Clair.
Do I need to come up or?
You can project.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Collin Clair. I'm a senior at Virginia Union High School. I represent the Virginia Lions. I don't have my exchange student here, but I do have my father, Chris.
I
got everything? Yeah?
think so.
All right. Close enough.
Ms. Shabnam?
Hi, I'm Shabnam Naini. I'm from Colchester, Vermont, and I'm a junior at Colchester High School, and I brought my brother and sister along with me.
Ms. Lily?
Hi, I'm Lily Weinstein-Terry. I am a senior at Hanover High School, and I'm representing the Norwich Science Club, and I do not have anyone here with me today.
You're one brave young lady, that's right. And Miss Riley?
I'm Riley Naylor. I'm also with the Norwich Lions. I'm from Lebanon High School. I'm a junior, and I brought my mom.
And for those who are asking why is there 2 from Norwich Lions, this is the second year they did this. They had 7 contestants. We had a couple other clubs that did not have any contestants, so they said, well, bring 2 along, we'll get them involved. So, the first presentation I'd like to do is, if it wasn't for this group, we would not be here. I'd like to present a thank you certificate to Vermont Lions Charities Board for presenting the prize money for today. And for our videographer, Lion Kyle from the Norwich Lions Club. give these to you. These are the 2 Lion Club chairs. Lion David DeMel from the North Lions, and Lion Cookie Stephanatis, something like that, from the Virginia Lions. And to help keep the judges in line, which is very hard, we have our scorekeeper, Lion Jackie, and our timekeeper, Lion Sandra. And gentlemen, you can stay right there. This is one each for our judges. Second vice district Brenda, Lion Drew, Lion Lucas, Lion Leanne, and our past district governor Joe, if he's awake.
Hey, there's a story.
Just remember, he knows how to do the Irish jig.
Squeezing
it up.
See if you can squeeze in. Squeeze in there.
We like each other. We really do. He's got the international shoulder down.
Yes. He does. We learned that quick. Good job.
Congratulations.
No hands.
And now the results. Judges, you agree with me? All 5 were tough to judge, weren't they? All good. All had their little things of, I'd like to see better. But they all did a fantastic job. If I remember right, I believe we have 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and 1 sophomore. Seniors, good luck to your future. Juniors, sophomore, hopefully we'll see you again. In 5th place, winning $250 and a $75 gift card, Lily Terry from the Norwich Lions Club. In 4th place, winning $300 and again a $75 gift card from the North Sheffield Lions Club, McKinley Keaffaber. And just to let you know, there is a total of 2 points difference between 1st and 3rd. 3rd place, winning $400, also getting a $75 gift card from the Colchester Lions Club, Shabnam Naini. In 2nd place, from the Norwich Lions Club, winning $550 and a $75 gift card, Riley Naylor. And in 1st place, I have no idea who won first. Steve won first. Travis, did you know who won first?
I think we should divide it amongst us 3.
I have a problem with that. In 1st place, winning $800 and a $75 gift card from the Virginia Lions Club, Collin Clair. So this ends my report. District Governor, I'll turn the podium back to you.
Thank you so much. Great job, guys. Congratulations. Good luck in the future.